Welcome to Mind the Major, where I say use your mind, don't lose your mind, don't get left behind, become a mind. We family over here. Y'all gonna have to excuse the background. Maybe I'll tidy up a bit while I wait for some people to get in the room. We're going to be doing a little more reading from my book, 180 Degrees, on my way back tonight. Give me a second. Straighten up the dead piece a little bit so we don't be looking all crazy up in this piece, you heard? You got kids that, you got grandkids that be dominating your bedroom and stuff, come in and violate your peace. You know what I mean? Be violating your sanctity, you know? Get the background a little, you know what I mean? I was rushing to meet my 8 o'clock, you know what I mean, deadline. Well, maybe not a deadline, but my 8 o'clock time that I said I was going to come on. I didn't want to keep jumping on at 9. And I said 8. You know? As whoever comes in the room comes in, I want to tell you guys welcome as you come into the room. If anyone has already jumped into the room, I want to say welcome. Welcome, 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 welcome. Welcome to the Mind of Major reading of 180 Degrees on my way back. It's a 180, well, just say a 6 month. It's actually a 6 month chronicle of a period in my life. And we're going to take that journey. I would like for you guys to stay in tune and go on that journey with me. Or, well, revisit. For me, I'll be revisiting, but you guys will be actually going on the journey. So, like I'm going to say again, welcome. And if you will, take a second. And if you're not part of the family already, hit the subscribe button. Hit the like. Hit the subscribe. Hit the bell for all notifications. Become a mind. Become a mind. You know, get to that place where you don't just accept everything that you're told. You know, get back to that place where you start to think for yourself. You understand? Because any mistake that is made by you, you're going to have to pay the cost for it. So, get back to thinking for oneself. I'm going to give it a second. And tonight, I'll be reading the second entry from my book, 180 Degrees on My Way Back. And the title of this actual piece is That Boy. The actual title of tonight's piece is That Boy. And after I read that actual entry, I'll go into the story about what that actual piece actually was speaking on. You know what I mean? What it entailed. So, you happen to come in the room, take a seat, get comfortable, and vibe out with me. Like I say, once again, I appreciate you all. Anyone that hops in the live, I appreciate you for being here. I'm trying to get at least a couple people, excuse me, a couple people in the room before I actually start the reading. So just rock with me. I got me a nice old bowl of oatmeal there. They say that oatmeal is good for watching your cholesterol. It's good for when you have high cholesterol, stuff like that. You know, it's one of those holistic approaches. You know, everything don't have to be cured or treated by taking a pill. You know, doctors always want everything that's wrong with you. A doctor wants to give you a pill for it. And I don't really like taking pills, a bunch of pills and medication and stuff like that. So if there's any way that I could take a holistic approach to solving a medical issue or whatever, I try that first before I start ramming pills down my throat. So with that being said, let me kill this thing. So I don't want that muffling the sound and all that. You know, as I look, I be looking in my background, seeing the background of the room. You know, I'm gonna eventually go ahead and start putting more into, you know, my actual broadcast. I'm gonna start eventually putting more into it. But like I say, if you are that caught up in the broadcast, whereas you paying more attention to what's around me as opposed to paying attention to what it is I'm saying, you know what I mean, or the message I'm trying to get out there, then you're missing the point. You know what I mean? You're missing the whole point. So like I say, just vibe with me, and we're gonna start. Well, I'm gonna start the reading in a little bit, and I just want to let you guys know that because it seems I keep saying, you know, I be trying to tell people that I don't know what it actually is, but it be, I don't know if it's some type of person hacking my streams and my videos and stuff like that. Well, I know it is. Something is going on. You know what I mean? But you can see for yourself, a lot of times when I put up videos or whatever, there's a bot that automatically hops in the comment with some little thing or whatever, and I don't know if when that is pressed or something, it gives them the ability to steal it. You know what I mean? The actual video or whatever, or if it just does something and slows down the, you know what I mean? It does something, you know what I mean? Like I said, I don't even have enough family members on my channel, whereas though I should be having somebody concentrating on my actual lives or my videos to try to do anything with my channel. So I don't know if it's somebody that sees the greatness, they happen to see the greatness, you know what I mean? What this channel could actually become, and they either want to be a part of it or they want to stop it. You know what I mean? They want to stop it before it has a chance to grow. One or the other, but I got some loyal people that tend to deal with me, that been rocking with me. You know, shout out to my Australian brother, Johnny Legs. You know, shout out to my Baltimore brother, 410 Doug. My Missouri brother, Shred Red 8, hasn't been in the comments in a minute, but shout out to Shred as well. You know, because he actually tapped in on I think the first live that I actually did. And I appreciated that very much. You know, and anybody that happens to tap in to my live and, you know, leave a comment or whatever, you drop in the live and you leave a comment or whatever, I'm gonna respond to your comment. I'm gonna respond to your comment. So with that being said, I'm gonna give it a couple more minutes to see if we could possibly get one or two more people in the chat, you know, before I actually start doing the reading. And like I said, this is one of the books. This is one of the actual books, okay? This is one of the actual books that I actually wrote these stories down in, these stories and poems in. And as you can see, I'm quite sure it's probably backwards. You guys are probably seeing it backwards, but you can see that I actually wrote the title and I dated each entry. I dated it. So this particular entry I wrote October the 6th, 2007. And like I wanted to show that on the actual video, you know what I mean, that what I'm saying, I'm not just making it up. It's not something, it doesn't belong to somebody else or whatever. It's actually my intellectual property. And therefore, no one can do anything without it. I mean, no one could do anything with it without my consent. And if they did, you know, I have all the rights in the world to come after you. You know what I mean? So, with that being said, what I plan on doing is I'm gonna publish the actual book. I'm gonna have the book actually published, and like I said, this is a 6-month chronicle. So, and I plan on doing a story a day. I'll be doing this for at least the next 6 months, and during that time, I'm gonna have the book actually published. Whereas, if someone feel as though they don't want to wait the whole 6 months, you know what I mean, to get the whole, you know what I mean, to hear the whole book, they'll be able to actually purchase a physical copy of the book, so they can just read it all at once if they so choose. That'll be up to the person. You understand? But like I say, the title of today's actual entry to the book, 180 Degrees on My Way Back, is titled That Boy. And as I did yesterday, I'll be reading the entry a couple of times just in case someone missed it, you know what I mean, and they didn't want to go all the way back to the beginning of the live or whatever. They'll be able to hear the actual story or whatever, and I'll be able to follow, you know, they'll be able to follow the conversation that comes after. Like I said, I'll give it a couple more minutes. I have my good old bowl of, like I said, my good old bowl of oatmeal that I'm about to eat. You know, try to stay as healthy as I possibly can. You know, I've never really been a fan of regular oatmeal. Anytime I eat oatmeal, I always eat the little instant packs that you can just pour the hot water in. Those are the ones I actually like. But I don't like them plain, and I don't like the maple and brown sugar. My thing is the apple and cinnamon, or either, so like I say, in a few minutes I'll be going into it. You probably can hear the crazy kid in the background. Yeah, I should have put out a notification prior to me coming on tonight. But for anybody that ends up catching the live, I'll be doing this 8 o'clock daily. We'll be doing this every day at 8 o'clock. Unless otherwise stated. If something happens and I'm unable to broadcast at 8, I'll come on ahead of time and let you guys know that it won't be 8 on this particular day, and let you know exactly what time I plan on broadcasting. But while we wait, like I said before, feel free, hit the like button if you're not a family member yet. And like I said, a family member, not a subscriber, because I don't like the word subscriber. If you're not a family member yet, do yourself a favor. Do us both a favor. Hit the subscribe button and become a mine. Hit that subscribe button, then press the bell and press all for all notifications so you can be notified whenever I drop a video or go live. We'd love to have you as a part of the family. Hey, you guys, whoever that is. Yeah, I'm eating on my oatmeal. The old guy trying to keep his cholesterol down. So my primary care doctor says she wanted me to go on medicine for cholesterol, and I refused to take it. Because every time I meet with her, she's always trying to put me on something, or no, I'm not doing that. But if for anybody that comes in, feel free. to let yourself be known. You can say hi, announce yourself, you know, so I can properly greet you and welcome you to the family. And then I have some very thought-provoking pieces of work in this book, actually. So if you're the type of person that's into reading and stuff like that, I think you're going to be, very intrigued by the book, actually. And if you know someone else that is the same way, do them a favor as well. And let them know about the channel, so they can become a family member as well. Alright, I'm getting ready to start. As I said, I've been here for almost a half an hour so far. And we're going to start reading the book with those I already have in the chat for now. Like I say, I'm going to read the actual entry more than once. So for anybody coming in after I start, they'll get a chance to actually hear me read the whole entry. Again, and this is a very interesting piece today. Very, very interesting. Oh, and if you happen to catch the live later, by all means, the same way. If you catch it and you're not a family member, hit that subscribe button and become a mind. This is the place where all great minds meet up at. They all meet here. I don't want to be on that live. I put the cigarettes in the hallway on the thing. Come there. Busting in. Like she was getting ready to beat something up or something. I don't know, I done got into this oatmeal. It's banging. Somebody might say, why is he eating oatmeal after 8 o'clock in the evening? I can eat oatmeal any time of the day. You know, somebody probably looking like, I thought he said he was going to read. I am. I'm also going to eat this oatmeal though. Because it's so good. And I would advise for anyone that may think that their cholesterol may be high or something like that, I would advise for you to try eating oatmeal. Because they say that oatmeal is actually real good for that. You understand what I'm saying? All right. I'm about to get into it. Okay, let's go. Now my mouth probably look funny because of the oatmeal. But my apologies. But like I said, anybody that doesn't appear during the live, they'll see it maybe after, or maybe they just happen to come into the live late. But the second entry goes as title of the second entry. That Boy, written by me. Date October 6, 2007. And it goes, bowl down for a second. Sorry about that. And it goes, since I can remember, people always told me not to. Let me start over. Like I said, it's been a while since I actually picked this book up and actually read it. I went through it. I skimmed through the actual entry earlier today to try to, you know what I mean, get a feel for it so I wouldn't have to be actually staring at the page the entire time. You know, but anyway, it goes, since I can remember, people always told me not to mess with that boy. But you know, you can't tell me nothing. I just knew I was the baddest thing around. Wasn't until I was 16 that me and him started hanging out. At first, we would just hang out on the weekend. But before I knew it, we were inseparable. During the 20 years, I saw him beat a lot of people down, men and women. I mean, he had them folding like a lazy boy sofa. That ain't nothing. This dude got bodies all over the country. I mean, he had bodies all over the country. All from people that used to mess with him. In the back of my mind, I always wondered if he would end up doing me in. But I'm like, nah, that's my boy. Yo wouldn't do that to me. Little did I know, the whole time he was plotting on me. He was plotting to destroy me. Messing with him, I eventually lost my job, my family, and friends even stopped dealing with me as well. Once he knew wasn't nobody checking for me, he made his move by trying to kill me in my sleep. Right then, I realized if I didn't kill him, he was going to kill me. That was the end of our friendship. I never saw him again. But I hear he's still destroying lives as well as taking them. Now, hopefully, anybody that's here already or is catching what I just read, I hope you actually were listening to what it is I was saying. The words in this actual entry to this actual story in my book, because it speaks deeply. This is a big part, a big important part of my journey during that 6-month period. You know, I'm going to read it once again, just so anyone that maybe missed something, or I just want to read it more so the way it's supposed to come out, because I know I did a little stumbling when I read it the first time. That Boy, written by me. Date October the 6th, 2007. Since I can remember, people always told me not to mess with that boy. But you can't tell me nothing. I just knew I was the baddest thing around. Wasn't until I was 16 that me and him started hanging out. At first, we just hanged out on the weekend, but before I knew it, we were inseparable. During the 20 years, I saw him beat a lot of people down, men and women. I mean, he had them folding like a lazy boy sofa. Ain't nothing though, this dude had bodies all over the country. People that used to mess with him. In the back of my mind, I always wondered if he would end up doing me in. But I'm like, nah, that's my boy. Yo wouldn't do that to me. Little did I know, the whole time he was plotting to destroy me. Messing with him, I eventually lost my job, my family, even friends stopped dealing with me as well. Once he knew wasn't nobody checking for me, he made his move by trying to kill me in my sleep. Right then, I realized that if I didn't kill him, he was going to kill me. That was the end of our friendship. I never saw him again. But I hear he's still destroying lives, as well as taking them. And as I read this particular entry, I think back to the time I actually wrote it, because the journey I was on was an actual journey of sobriety. Now, me, myself, I have no problem admitting my faults or things that I might have done. You know what I mean? I'm pretty much an open book. Because I was told by someone, a very wise person, that you shouldn't have to lie about anything you did. If you feel as though something you did that you had to lie about, then you shouldn't have done it at all. You understand? So, whatever I may have done, I don't have any problem with discussing it, especially where I am today, because if something that I did can, change the life of someone else, my mistake can stop someone from actually making that same mistake just by me talking about it, I'm good with that. I'm absolutely good with that. So, in this actual story, I had started cleaning up, so to say. You know, the same way I had cleaned up a whole bunch of other times, you know. Hmm. Man, this story just makes me think so much. This story really makes me think a whole lot, you know. But let me start breaking. I'm gonna break down the title of the book. I mean, the title of this particular entry. The title being That Boy. Now, boy, boy is actually, man, this is really taking me back. I apologize, y'all. I just kind of got lost in thought for a second. Like I said, this is really making me think. But anyway, boy, here, boy is a street term used for the narcotic heroin, right? They tend to call heroin boy and cocaine girl. So when I say that boy, you know, the whole time, you know, that boy. Mm-mm-mm. And anyway, that happened to be my choice of substance at that time. So when I say people told me not to mess with that boy, they were saying not to mess with that narcotic being heroin, right? And like I say, when I say, but you couldn't tell me nothing, I just knew I was the baddest thing around. And you know, and that's pretty much the story that any young male in their teenage years, you know, they think they know everything, you know. But anyway, when I see, it wasn't until I was 16, me and him started hanging out, right? I'm sorry for the pausing, but this actual entry here is really making me think about, you know what I mean, certain things. I said it wasn't until I was 16 that me and him started hanging out, meaning it wasn't until I was 16 years old that I had actually, you know, 16. Hmm. 16. Like I said, at first, we would just hang out on the weekend. And I said this in a previous live I did, how when we were growing up, you know, my generation or whatever, when we came up, you know, that's right around, that was the Reagan era, you know what I mean? Mm-mm-mm. Yep. Like I say, we used to hang out on the weekend at first. It was a sociable thing, you know? Like I said, it was nothing for you to go into a party and every person that actually, you know, had product, you know what I mean, that was actually on the block ended up with, you know, $1 bill in their hand, either containing heroin or containing cocaine. You know, because like I said, it was recreational. We didn't know any freaking better. You know, we saw this in freaking Scarface, and everybody just thought that was them. You know what I mean? Everybody wanted to be Scarface. So it just went with the, you know, when you had instances where the average person that was doing it didn't even know that they were actually addicted, that they had actually become addicted to the substance because of the fact that it was always there. You know what I mean? Because by you selling it at the time, it was always there. It was right there. You know what I mean? You didn't have to go chase it down or none of that. So when I say, man, like I say, this is really, like I said, before we knew it, we were inseparable. Meaning that, like so many others, I ended up with an actual habit, a dependency. You know what I mean? And people will tell you, anybody that has any experience with, man, you know, it's a lot of times I think back and think how life would have actually been had I never, you know what I mean, actually used, you know. But what are you gonna do, you know? And like I said, during those 20 years, I saw him beat a lot of people down, men and women. You can pretty much imagine. Like I said, that stuff started out so, you know what I mean, as a social thing. Yeah, beat a lot of men and women. I mean, just imagine people having good jobs. It ain't the first time y'all heard it. Just like with the way crack did. You know, any drug, you know, powder form drug, you know, had, you know what I mean, eventually tore a person up, you know. And you see people that had good jobs or whatever like that, and then they get hooked on to drugs, and next thing you know, their car's gone. You know, they can't pay the rent. Man, I'm sitting here, my freaking eyes are starting to water because I can't help but think of so much stuff that happened as a result, you know, of me using over the years or whatever. You know, I say this is probably one of the more, this actual entry that I'm reading from tonight is probably one of the more, I'm gonna say, one of the more, one of the entries that tend to bring emotion from me. You know what I mean? Because it just has so much stuff going on in my head every time I actually read this one. You know? So just bear with me a little bit. So when I say I mean he had them folding like lazy boy sofa. You don't know if anybody remember the old lazy boy sofa, how it used to fold or whatever. And that's how, when you ever seen a person who are ill, what they call ill, they, you know what I mean, they didn't have their fix yet or whatever, and their stomach get to cramping up, and you know what I mean, they be bent over, they be bent all over or whatever, because they, what they call ill, right? So that's where I got that from. Let me stop for a second and say happy born day to my brother Ray Ray that passed away back in 1995. He was actually murdered, you know what I mean, here in Baltimore in 1995, the summer of 95. But today would have been his 50th birthday, you know. I guess that's probably bringing a little emotion as well. Today would have been his 50th birthday, you know what I mean. So I wanted to get that out the way as well. But right now, for anybody that's with me right now, I appreciate it if you would hit that like button, hit the subscribe, hit the bell for all notifications. Now I'm gonna go ahead and continue with explaining my tonight's entry from the book. Where I say ain't nothing though. This dude had bodies all over the country. All people that used to mess with him. You know, when people say the person got bodies, somebody say that person got bodies, that mean, you know what I mean, he didn't kill people. You know what I mean? He didn't kill people. And that's just like the drugs. You know what I mean? A lot of people lost their lives because of, you know what I mean, using this actual drug. You understand what I'm saying? A lot of people. So my whole thing was he gonna get me? Would it take me out? Well, more so when you're young, you end up having that feeling as if you're invincible. So it wasn't as much of a point where as though I was wondering if it would happen to me. I more so thought like, nah, it ain't gonna happen to me. Whoever that was that it happened to, they did something wrong. Maybe they did too much, or I ain't gonna do that. And like I said, little did I know, once I became addicted, I started losing stuff. I started losing stuff slowly but surely. The job went first. My family at the time was next. And even the people that actually knew me, more so the people that I grew up with and watched me actually get money in the streets or whatever, you know, was able to see what I had become. You understand what I'm saying? And that was a very, very, very uncomfortable situation. Like I say, once he knew wasn't nobody checking for me, he made his move and tried to kill me in my sleep. You know, once I started losing everything, the more I lost, the more depressed I came. You know what I mean? And the more depressed you became, the more you try to numb that pain with the narcotic. You know? Man, I started using more and more to numb the pain from that depression. And for anybody that knows, heroin actually slows down your body functions, such as your heart rate, things like that, your breathing. So as a result of that, and the result of, you know, I was almost asleep. I mean, well, I was told that I stopped breathing in my sleep. You understand? And it was at that point with everything else that had happened, I really began to realize that this wasn't a game. That if I didn't make necessary changes, that so I realized that I had to walk away from it and get myself together. But when I say I never saw him again, at the time I was writing this, that was the case. But as the years went past, the years went by, or time went by rather, there was times that I revisited that boy. You understand what I'm saying? It just wasn't never the same. So my desire to continue doing it was no longer there. You know, a lot of things that happened during my life, I actually contributed those things to me. You know what I mean? Using I'm going to read this one more time. But if anybody that's out there happens to get this broadcast and listen to me, I beg you, to never even think of experimenting with it. You understand what I'm saying? Don't even experiment with it. I try to tell, a lot of times I try to tell these young guys that's out here taking handfuls of perks every day, and it's so sad because they don't want to, admit that them taking handfuls of Percocet is the same thing as somebody using heroin. Excuse me. When they're both freaking opiates. And that denial is a crazy thing. Some of the things a person will say or do when caught up in the grips of that, I don't know. I mean, I've been there, and mine didn't get, my situation didn't get as bad as a lot of people's situation, because usually I tend to keep a job. You know what I mean? I was the type, even when I was in the grips of addiction, I was always what you would consider a functional addict. Type of person that was able to get up and go to work and, you know, take care of their bills, and then you know, you have, sometimes you have people that's all they do is just chase, you know. I was the type that could halfway keep my priorities intact. Wow. I don't really think you understand. Imagine waking up one day and realize that I do not really realize, man. I do not realize. I just beg anybody that has never done it before to not, to not. You understand? And like I was saying, just imagine waking up one day and realizing that you spent more than half of your life chasing something that wasn't good for you at all. Pretty much just chasing death. You know what I mean? You and that's a very profound statement in itself. You spent more than half of your life chasing death. That's insane. That is pure insanity for someone to actually spend most of their life chasing death. You understand what I'm saying? That's just like you running around and you see somebody, or just say, that's just like you every time you see a police officer or whatever standing outside or whatever, you run up on them and try to take their gun and put it in your mouth and blow your brains out. Something just, I mean, it doesn't even sound right. It doesn't sound right, man. Take something that would cause you to, just imagine trying to kill yourself. Because that's what you're really doing. You know, you're basically chasing death. You're chasing death down. But if you would ask a person, what are you trying to kill yourself? Their reply would be no. No. But that's all it is in reality. And that's why it was so difficult for me to actually beat the disease. Because for the longest time, I thought it was just as simple as, stopping. Until I learned that yeah, Like I said, it wasn't until the last time that I actually realized that just stopping wasn't enough. That I actually had to have some type of person to actually talk to. I needed a counselor, in other words. Just someone that I could discuss, what was actually going on with me, so I could actually find out my triggers. You know what I mean? What is it that be setting me off? You know what I mean? That to make me run and go do this all over again. You understand? Until that counselor helped me out. I'm not gonna stay on there too late tonight. This this actual entry to this, like I said, it's a lot of stuff that was in this book that I wrote that actually, bring about a considerable amount of feeling when I read it. But this was one that actually, you know, every time I read this one, it actually like just pulls, you know what I mean? It actually pulls that emotion. It pulls that emotion up out of me, to the point where, I'm sitting here and I'm looking at the freaking page that the, little story was on. And I'm sitting here trying to fight back, My eyes are getting watery and stuff because I'm just thinking, and I can only help but think how these young people are today, what's ahead for them? I mean, what? So sad, man. It's so sad. Yep, and even though I knew this, with this page, this story right here, the sickness is absolutely real. I just can't. I mean, y'all just don't get it, man. Y'all just don't get it. You know, I've taken so many losses over the years, you know, and when I think about those losses, I go back to this right here. I go back to this right here, and the fact that I was so caught up in this right here that, you know, man, today is my brother's birthday. Like I say, he would have been 50 years old today. You know, and I'm just crazy. And I'm just sit back and I think, you know, but then I think about how, you know, just losing my pops this past year, you know, I say I'm real spiritual, so yes, I do believe in, you know what I mean, that there's something more after this. So I see, can't help but think if you know, if you've been doing the right thing the whole time, with things have turned out different, you know, but then you don't want to dwell in that place too long because you start to bring about that depression again. You know what I mean? You start putting yourself in a depressed state. And, you know, if you're in a depressed state, then it just, you know what I mean? It just, you know, yeah, but my pops passed away the end of last year. And I take comfort in knowing that this is the first year in 25 years that, you know what I mean, yeah, man, that's the first time they've been together in 25 years, man. You know, first time they've been together in 25 years. I can't help but get a little emotional right now or whatever. My apologies. You know, maybe somebody will come through and you know, be viewing this on the playback or whatever, or viewing it from the beginning, being that no one actually got into the chat, made it into the chat, but I'm quite sure they'll end up seeing it. Certain people will end up seeing it later, you know. But I got to read the second entry. So yes, just know, you know what I mean. I do a lot of my recording and subject matter and stuff like that. I do to try to help the younger people or whatever, you know, so they don't do the same things that we did, you know what I mean, thinking they're going to get the different result that we was looking for when we were told not to do it and we did it anyway. You know what I mean? Just to let them know that it ain't no. But anyway, if you got to catch any of this broadcast here, I'm sorry I was emotionally detached towards the end. I apologize for that. But I got into my feelings, you know. I happened to get into my feelings, and but hopefully this tomorrow will be a better day. This entry today really did something to me, man. This entry today did something to me, man. I know it sounds corny, you know what I mean, because it's old and it's nothing good. Nothing good comes from abusing opiates. You know, and I was looking at something on the internet earlier today, and it's like, you know what I mean, when you have a generation full of nothing good from abusing opiates, man. Nothing. Trust me. Nothing comes from it. You just end up fighting a losing battle. And trust me, it takes far longer to get back. It'll take you far longer, you know what I mean, to get back to who you supposed to be than it did for you to lose yourself. You know what I mean? And those are words that I'm actually standing on and can actually say that it's 100% true. You know, it'll destroy you. It'll destroy you quick. But the amount of time it would take for you to get back everything you lost is you know what I mean? I didn't mean to get into my feelings like I did today when I was supposed to be mainly reading the story and explaining it more so, but for anybody, again, for anybody who catches the broadcast or, you know what I mean, or whatever, anyway, I'm not going to sit here and hold up space on the internet because the only thing I'm doing is thinking more and more about certain things or whatever, you know, and it's beginning to beat myself up, you know what I mean, over certain, you know, then, man, I just was supposed to be explaining this daggone entry to this book, and then it made me just, you know, you can't imagine, man. I done lost so many family members, you know what I mean? And, you know, when you get to a point and it's something that you can't, you know what I mean? Something that you can't do anything about, you sometimes you just had to let it go. But that's easier said than done, you know? But my purpose was supposed to be to help someone younger than myself see just how real all right, y'all. I'm a cut this one short because I'm going into. I'm gonna do this one more time. I'm gonna do this one more time, and I really shouldn't be, but something is telling me to, and I'm gonna explain this while I'm reading this. Since I can remember, people always told me not to mess with that boy. But you know, you can't tell me nothing. I just knew I was the baddest thing around. Wasn't until I was 16 that me and him started hanging out. At first, we were just inseparable. During the 20 years, I saw him beat up a lot of people. I mean, beat down a lot of people, men and women. I mean, he had them folding like a lazy boy sofa. That ain't nothing though. This dude even had bodies all over the country. All people that he used to mess with. in the back of my mind, I always wondered if he would end up doing me in. But I'm like, nah, that's my boy. He wouldn't do that to me. Little did I know, whole time he was plotting to destroy me. Messing with him, I eventually lost my job, my family, and friends stopped dealing with me as well. Once he knew wasn't nobody checking for me, he made his move by killing me in my sleep. Right then, I realized that if I didn't kill him, he was going to kill me. That was the end of our friendship. I never saw him again. But I hear he's still destroying lives as well as taking them. This is just so... Just know. And I don't even want to do the correlation between the Percocets and the heroin, because it might put an idea in somebody's head to go out and trying to save money by doing the heroin instead of the Percocets, and then, you know what I mean? Anybody just seeing this or whatever and got to hear me read the entry from the book, and you having that type of problem or issue, please seek some type of help. Try to seek some type of help, a program of sorts, or counseling or whatever. Because trust me when I tell you, that type of issue, it only gets worse. And as well, just be careful out there. I gotta deal, man. Tomorrow, I'll be reading the third entry from my book, which is titled Preach, Sister, Preach, at 8 o'clock tomorrow night. So, if you will, I would appreciate it if all those with a great mind would tune in and spend some time with me while I actually read the next story from my book and explain it as well. Like I say, great minds think alike, and everybody has greatness in them. You never know when somebody's going to come along, pull that greatness up out of you. So to the next time, don't forget, like, comment, subscribe, share. It's your boy C Major, man. 2 in the air. Man, Man, I was all in my feelings, and this what you call, man. I was about to bust out crying. I was